Welcome back to the Shipyard. Today we are talking about the ISS Defiant from Wave 9. This is a ship that came out for the Mirror Universe faction, and it did a great job of giving us a lot of tricks, so let's dive right in and see how we can best utilize all the cards in this expansion. First up, we've got the ISS Defiant herself. She's a 24 cost ship with 4 attack dice, 2 agility, 3 hull, and 3 shields, with evade, target lock, scan battle stations. Pretty standard action bar there. She's got 2 weapon slots and 2 crew slots, which gives her a lot of options for assigning upgrades. And her named ability is each time you suffer damage from an attack, you may place an auxiliary power token beside your ship to reduce the amount of damage from that attack by 1. This is a great ability if you want to stay alive, and I've made great use of this in tournaments and home play alike, just to make a tough little ship to kill. If you want to combo it with the improved deflector screens from the Gornaris pack, it allows you to cancel 2 damage, and that really makes a tough ship to kill. The generic Defiant loses a shield, of course, and a crew slot, saves you 2 points. Maybe that's worth it to you, maybe it's not, I don't know, you gotta make that call. But personally, I like having that named ability, so I'd stick with the named ISS Defiant and skip the generic for right now. You do get forward and rear 90-degree firing arcs, and the maneuver dial is pretty good. 2 white turn, lots of banks, decent green selection, 1-2 straight, 1 banks. So the Defiant's a very maneuverable ship. I wish it had a 1 turn, but that's just me being a little picky there. It does have a 3 come about, so that gives you a nice little option there. Overall, as a ship, I think that the Defiant is a very good ship to have. So now let's take a look at the captains that you can put on the ship. First up, we have Miles O'Brien. He's a 5 skill captain with a talent slot, costs you 3 points. He adds a tech upgrade to your upgrade bar, and this is desperately needed for the ISS Defiant since it doesn't have any. He also gives you an action to repair 1 damage to your hull or shields. I love the ability. I think that he is now the best repair card in the game. Yes, you have Glendaro for the Dominion, but he takes up a crew slot. This is your captain that can do it, and there's no other drawback. Being able to repair whatever you want, hull or shields, is huge. Gives you that flexibility. You can do it when you're coming about for the second pass in a joust. As long as you're not destroyed, Miles gives you that ability to come back in with a ship at near full strength or full strength, and he is a great captain. Adding the tech slot was a pretty good ability. We saw that on Captain Styles in the Federation Excelsior pack. But giving us the repair is just huge. I for one love O'Brien. I think that he is one of the top 2 or 3 mirror captains, and for that reason alone, this pack is worth getting. But of course, there's more. You also get Captain Benjamin Sisko. He's a 4 skill, 1 talent, 2 point captain, and during the roll attack dice step, you may discard up to 2 of your upgrades, crew, tech, or weapons, and if you do, you gain 1 attack die for each upgrade you discard. This is a great piece to the Alpha Strike puzzle. If you combine it with I Will Deal With Them Myself, which is a talent from the Regent's flagship, you can disable a couple of crew and then flush them out the airlock to get a total of 4 extra attack dice. If you do that on the Regent's flagship, now you're rolling 9 dice. Pretty good combo. If you want to do it on the Defiant, you've got 8 dice. Still pretty good. And none of that's an action, so you can still target lock or do battle stations, and now you've got some quality. So Ben Sisko finds a way to use the low point upgrades that you don't have any other uses for, and he turns them into bonus attack dice. I think we can all get somewhat creative with that. And now for our upgrades. First up, we get 2 really amazing talents. We have Rebellion, which is 5 points if you are defending against a ship that has a greater hull value than your ship's. During the roll attack dice step, you may discard this card to force that ship to roll 2 less attack dice. After that ship's attack is completed, you may immediately make 1 free attack against that ship with your primary weapon if possible. Wow. Extra attacks are always good. Being able to take less attack dice of damage is another great thing. And having this to put on your low hull ships, like an ISS Defiant, a Borg Scout Cube if you go cross-faction, things with 2, 3, maybe even 4 hull, it's a really good talent. So Rebellion is honestly one of my top talents. I don't need to say a ton about it because it's pretty self-explanatory why it's great. But it's out there. If you haven't been looking at Rebellion, I highly encourage you to take another look at it, utilize it because it is worthwhile. Our other talent is Strafing Run. It's also 5 points. And it says action. If you performed a maneuver with a number of 3 or greater this round, target an enemy ship within range 1 to 3 that is not in your firing arc. Discard this card to immediately make 1 free attack against that ship with 4 attack dice. Treat this attack as if it were fired with a primary weapon. That last sentence is key. As if it were fired with a primary weapon. It gives you range bonus. It allows you to stack attack dice, modifiers, etc. Yeah, it's an action attack, which means you can't use a battle station token or a target lock to reroll. But there's so much you can do. Put this on the ISS Avenger. Get 2 extra attack dice if you have an auxiliary power because you can do something else. The possibilities here are pretty much limitless. If nothing else, straight up, you do nothing to combo it. Doing a 4 dice attack, or 5 dice if it's range 1. Basically 360. Put it on a ship that only has a 90 forward arc. It's really good. It's an action attack, so cloak doesn't work against it. It could mean that the ship you attack doesn't get to fire because you destroy it right then and there. You could inflict a crit that messes with your opponent before they get to move. So Strafing Run is a talent that could be really useful to you if you can pull it off at the right time. We get 5 crew in this pack. That's more than a lot of our Federation hero ships. So kudos to WizKids for that. First up, we have Rom. He's a 2-point crew. Action, discard this card to target a ship at range 1 to 3. Disable up to 2 tech upgrades of your choice on the target ship. This ability may be used against a ship that is cloaked. If it didn't work against cloaked ships, Rom would be very useless. But since it works against cloaked, his greatest asset is that he can disable interface generators. And for that reason alone, Rom is worth taking, especially in mission play if you know you're up against Romulans. Or if you're in a tournament and you know that that one guy you just can't beat always brings Romulans with double interface generators. You know, a lot of times we have these cards we think aren't very good. But the reality is, if you go back and you take a look at them, you can find something that works against a strategy that's dominating, and you tech against it, and it works out. So yeah, Rom's in action, he discards, and he disables 2 tech. But it's your choice, it's not random, you can mess with somebody. Maybe your venue doesn't see a lot of tech play, so maybe Rom isn't great. But you know, lately there's a lot of tech out there. Multi-adaptive shields, system upgrade, a lot of the tech that came on the Oberth for Federations out there in play. Interface generators like I talked about. Cloaked mines if you rush it. Klingons have their advanced cloaking devices, or prototype cloaking. There are things out there that some players rely on that you can mess with. So give Rom a look. Next up we have Julian Bashir. He's also a 2-point crew. Action, discard this card to target a ship at range 1 to 3. If that ship attacks this round, it must attack your ship and cannot attack any other ship. If it does attack your ship, during the roll attack dice step, that ship rolls 2 less attack dice. Well, 2 less attack dice, that sounds a lot like Rebellion. I think I'll put them both on the same ship. Yeah, 4 less attack dice. I like that kind of a combo. And you get to shoot back. I think we're onto something here. Bashir does something very important. He gives you control over where your opponent is shooting. That is something we don't see very often in this game. And I'm glad we don't see it very often, because if it was pervasive, it would wreck a very fun strategy. But Bashir is something that is a neat little piece, and you can have a lot of fun with it. Next up, we have Jadzia Dax. She is also a 2-point crew. When your ship suffers damage to its hull, you may discard this card to reduce the damage by 1. Nothing like having an extra hull for 2 points. I think it's a fair trade. If you want, you can combine this with Goval. He would discard himself instead of Dax. So now you get 2 extra hull. Or maybe you combine this with Weyoun 6, and you could disable Weyoun to keep Dax, and you get an extra hull every round. Maybe not the best use of Weyoun 6, but it could be a thing. I'm not going to say it's amazing, but Sometimes you don't always have to have the broken combos. Sometimes it's fun just to do something unique. Anyways, it's out there, something to look at. Dax is very simple, but effective. Speaking of Dax, we have Ezra Tei. Yes, it's Mirror Universe. She wasn't actually Dax in the mirror. She's a 4-point crew. Action. Discard this card to target a ship at range 1 to 3. Steal 1 tech from the target ship with a SP cost of 5 or less, even if it exceeds your ship's restrictions. Place a disable token on the stolen upgrade. Alright, now you can do something about those multi-adaptive shields. You steal it. I don't care if you have to discard it right away because you can't actually equip it to your ship. You get rid of it for them. Or steal a cloaking device, or steal advanced cloaking, or an interface generator. Get it away from your opponent. It's a pretty good trade. You keep your points for Ezra, you're taking away points from your opponent. In a tournament environment, it's a neat trade. In a casual setting, stealing your opponent's stuff is just fun to do. So Ezra, not the most hyper-competitive card, but darn fun to play. And the last crew in this pack is Jennifer Sisko. 3 points. She adds 1 tech upgrade slot to your upgrade bar. And at the start of the game, after setup, you target 1 enemy ship and you disable 2 upgrades of your choice on that ship. That's pretty cool. I haven't seen a lot of Jen Sisko played. We heard rumors that she was going to get played a lot when she was first announced, but I never saw her truly invade the game. I think that she could do it because you can rush your opponent pretty quick. And if they're having to re-enable their stuff for their first 2 turns, that's going to mess with them. Most ships want upgrades to really carry out their combos. There's some fleets out there that don't take many upgrades, but most ships want them. And if you can mess with their order of play by disabling their stuff, you're at an advantage. So I'd really consider taking Jen Sisko. For 3 points, she's not bad. She gives you that tech slot you need. Maybe you combine her with Ben Sisko so you have somebody to throw out the airlock, because she does nothing as soon as the game starts. But for 3 points, being able to mess with your opponent, I think it's a great trade. And that wraps it up for crew. So now we are on to weapons. We get the Aft Phaser Emitter. It's a 1-point weapon. Gives you 3 attack dice, works at range 1 to 3. And you attack, disable this card to perform the attack. You may only fire this weapon from your rear firing arc. It's not a bad card. 1 point, be able to use your rear firing arc up to range 3. 3 dice, it's a decent trade-off. I'll take it for the ISS Defiant. I might take it for the ISS Enterprise. I might even take it for the ISS Avenger. I wouldn't take it for the Regent's flagship or any of the high-hitting mirror ships. But for the little guys, this is a good upgrade. Maybe I don't always use it, but it's 1 point. It's one of the better uses for 1 point, so it's there. And the other weapon we get in this pack is Quantum Torpedoes. They're a 6 cost, give you 5 attack dice, work at range 2 to 3. You spend your target lock and disable the card, and if the target ship is hit, you add 1 hit result to your total damage. You can fire it from your forward or rear firing arcs. So on the ISS Defiant, you're boosting up your damage output, and you're covering your rear firing arc. I like the potential here. I wish there was a little bit of conversion, but being able to add a damage as long as you hit, which you're going to do against most ships that aren't cloaked. It's a trade-off. 6 points is pricey, but on something cheap like the Defiant or the ISS Enterprise or the ISS Avenger, you can pull it off. So definitely take a look at Quantum Torpedoes. They're worth something, and if nothing else, you have a heavy hitter. And the last card in this pack is our Tech MultiTargeting Phaser Banks. It costs you 5 points, and when you perform a target lock action, you may disable this card to acquire a second target lock on a different enemy ship within range 1 to 3 of your ship. While you have this upgrade on your ship, even if it's disabled, you may have up to 2 different enemy ships target locked at the same time. Kind of a cool card. Having 2 target locks is nice. It gives you flexibility. Your opponent doesn't quite know who your main target is, and that's a nice thing. Maybe you have 1 ship in your forward arc, 1 ship in your rear arc, maybe you've got Quantum Torpedoes going on, and that works out. I would only take this card if I was running some kind of torpedo boat. I wouldn't take it just for normal use. but I'd take it in combination with my torpedoes so that I could use torpedoes once, and then I've already got my torpedoes halfway set up for my next turn, and then all I have to do is re-enable them, and I'm ready to shoot again. But multi-targeting phaser banks, even though they're expensive, they're still a useful card in the right kind of build. So overall, the ISS Defiant, should you go out and buy it? Oh yeah, I like every single card in this expansion, and I think that this is the only expansion that I can actually say that I like every single card. There are a lot of expansions that I like most of the cards, and several where I like a few of the cards. But this one, I can find a great use, an innovative use, for every single card in this pack. Maybe except for the generic ship, but we give that a pass more often than not. I will note that my generic ship had a misprint on the cost. It said that it's 24 points, but WizKids sent out an errata on the FAQ stating that it should be 22 points, which lines up with the basic stats, so keep that in mind. Anyways, the Defiant. Awesome pack. This is what the USS Defiant should have been, 4 attack dice. That's how you make a true heavy hitter. Definitely worth your money. Go out there, find it, buy it, play it, have fun with it. Enjoy what this pack has to offer. Make it work, get creative with it. This ship can be a support ship, it can be your heavy hitter, it can be an offensive juggernaut, it can be a defensive behemoth. Really, it can be anything you want it to be. You have so many options. The mirror faction is gaining steam. It's going to be a thing in the future. WizKids hit the nail on the head with this expansion. It is my absolute favorite expansion pack, and enjoy. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you around the shipyard. Until next time, I'm David Montgomery. Take care, guys.